Hello, wherever you are out there. My name is Daniel Todd, and welcome to Crypto Class. And now I'm going to shrink my face down here into the corner so we can jump right into this. I'm so glad you're here. I've had a lot of fun over the last few years learning on YouTube, and I think I have something to offer to my friends and family and anyone crazy enough out there to want to jump into this class. So let's do it. Let's jump in. Um, this is the crypto class, and today I want to do a little introduction of this channel and of cryptocurrency basics. So if that's something you're interested in, then check it out. I don't know what Bitcoin is, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask. I know a lot of people who feel that way, or they ask, and they're interested in making some money and investing, and then the answer they get just confuses them further. So I would like to try to demystify some of this because I truly believe that anyone can understand in general what the blockchain is and why it matters. So let's see if I can prove that to be true. My name is Daniel, as I mentioned, and I go by Mr. Todd. I've been a professional educator for about 20 years, and I'm highly interested in holistic literacy, 21st century literacy. And to define literacy, for me at least, I would say that literacy isn't just the ability to read and write, but it's the ability to make sense of a complex world and to make sense of ourselves for others. And so I do believe there's a bit of a gap out there in our educational system and even in our personal lives in terms of learning and having greater literacy, especially around emerging disruptive technologies. Uh, I'm also a geek dad. I don't know if I can move my little box, and my wife and I have 4 children, so we stay pretty busy. I am passionate about life in general. If people know me, I'm always turned up a little bit, sometimes a couple notches too high. So might as well throw this in energy out there into the world. Art, nature, technology. These are the things that really float my boat. And these images represent some of the influences in my life, having grown up in America, but spent time over in Europe, specifically Italy. Shout out to all my Italian friends. Ciao. Literature, nature, and a strong foundation spiritually are all hallmarks of my life. And I see blockchain and these emerging technologies connecting and intersecting with every aspect of life. And that's something else that I want to try to elucidate and draw those connections for you out there and my students. Yes, I consider myself a teacher, but I'm a learner. And in fact, I don't think you can teach without learning. So if you're here for professional trading advice, you want to turn back now. I am very much an amateur, a professional learner, maybe, but not an investor. So just be clear about that. And in fact, like you might hear a lot out there, if you're looking at YouTube videos about cryptocurrency, I'm not your financial advisor. It's not my place to do that. I'll never give financial advice. You need to do your own due diligence. However, I will share information and even tell you straight up what I'm doing in terms of crypto investments and what's worked for me so that you can add more knowledge to your quiver of information. So, why am I doing this? I've had to ask myself that too. I think what it comes down to is that I don't want to be someone who just consumes information. I'd rather create it and put something else out there. So even though you can imagine the haters laughing and maybe people saying, this isn't for me, you know what? It's okay. I think when we create art, when we create any kind of content, we should do it primarily for ourselves. So that's why I'm doing this. And then I like this quote: I do it because I can. I can because I want to, and I want to because you said I couldn't. Also, I like to ask myself, am I really a lifelong learner? Am I really excited and prepared for change? Life is change. So if I'm not embracing change, can I fully embrace life? Now, I know there's people out there that embracing life, man. Is this guy serious right now? A lot of people just want to make money. I get it. A lot of people are in difficult circumstances, and making money can really increase their level of happiness depending on kind of where they're at in life. But I'm not someone who believes that happiness and money are completely synonymous. So if you're feeling that way, you might want to go to a different channel, a different source of information. We're going to have fun here. And we're going to learn some of the bigger and broader concepts, both not only in this first video, but in the future. But then I'll be mixing in that practical advice as well. So this is for the people that want big picture information and understanding the concepts and even the philosophy behind blockchain, as well as good information that might help you make better decisions as an investor. I do see the future going either way. I am a hopeful and optimistic person, and I believe that humans have a divine potential and that things are going to turn out great in the long run. But when we look at what we're already doing with technology, it can just exacerbate existing challenges. So, dystopia or utopia, I think we're at a serious crossroads here, and these disruptive technologies like blockchain are going to accelerate this. So, it behooves us as people to be knowledgeable, so that we're not just letting centralized authorities, governments, big business, huge companies. They shouldn't be dictating what happens. We, the people, should be dictating what happens. And then existential, I think that it would be a mistake to talk about blockchain without making it or connecting it to the big existential questions of life. So if that kind of thing floats your boat and you're into crypto, this is definitely the spot for you. All 5 of you out there that feel that way. So the world is changing faster than ever. I love this quote by Alvin Toffler. He says, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." And I would add quickly. So it's really about learning and unlearning and relearning. And if you're here and you're interested in crypto, you're probably someone who is pretty literate in terms of 21st century literacy and how we define that. So we got to help the rising generation. If you're on that right side of that line, keep doing good in your own way. Pay attention to the new tech. Invest, get involved. When you're buying a cryptocurrency, you're not just trying to buy like a stock that goes up. You're literally a voting member of that blockchain, and you control part of that blockchain, which is a big, idea behind decentralization. And then I'm a big believer in not seeking happiness, but in trying to find purpose. And if our purpose is to make the world a better place and to increase efficiency and happiness, then we're going to feel great. So that's my goal. So what are we going to cover on this channel? Well, number one, blockchain technology. That's cryptocurrency is just one aspect of the larger technology. It's like saying, oh, I don't really like Facebook. I don't like social media. Wait a minute. Social media is the big umbrella concept. Facebook is just one form of social media. So Bitcoin is just one blockchain. There's a lot of different kinds of blockchains and different blockchains that originate in different countries and with different purposes. So blockchain is the big overarching idea or technology. And that's a really important concept to understand for you as a beginner. The next big concept that I want to make sure that I cover on this channel and come back to a lot is the concept of Web 3.0 and the metaverse. So Web 1.0 was the early days of the internet, mid 90s, late 90s, when it started to really take off. And we would email and we would go to a page that was stagnant and look at a page. And then Web 2.0 came along. And that is like Facebook, where people, the users, generate the data, they generate the images, the content, and like Facebook curates it and steals our data. Then, as you can see, there's a little "you are here." We are right, in 2020-ish here, the beginning of this decade, seeing the rise and emergence of Web 3.0. Web 3.0 is here. It's just not fully realized yet. And Web 3.0 really, you could look at the metaverse as one of the most, one of the key parts of it. And Web 3.0 is the idea of ownership on the internet, owning NFTs and things like that, but also having more of a virtual identity or virtual reality. So that's a little fuzzy, and we're all learning more about that, how that's going to look. But as you may or may not know, Facebook, which also owns and runs Instagram and other companies, changed its name. It's really called Meta now, and Facebook and Instagram, et cetera, are just some of the products of Meta. So as we can see, Zuckerberg and crew, they understand where this is all going, and they are going to try to create a whole new Facebook, not called Facebook, however, of a virtual reality. And so if you're investing in this, you're early, and it doesn't mean that we love everything about Web 3.0. It means that we want to have some ownership in it and some say in it. And then just in general on this channel, we're going to talk about disruptive technologies. And I, for one, pretty much only invest in emerging disruptive technologies like blockchain and in case you don't know, a disruptive technology is an innovation that significantly alters the way that consumers, industries, or businesses operate. And artificial intelligence is another example of a majorly disruptive technology. Just like streaming music back in the early 2000s was hugely disruptive to the music industry. But it didn't wipe out the music industry, it just changed it. And that's what we're going to see more and more with blockchain. So there's, as this image shows, about 8 essential technologies that are considered disruptive. The Internet of Things, that's the idea of putting sensors everywhere and in everything, chairs, cars, so they can all talk to each other and we can see what's going on anywhere in the world. Augmented reality, virtual reality, blockchain, AI, 3D printing, drones, and robots. So and maybe instead of drones, we could say autonomous vehicles. And so these are big disruptive technologies that are going to really continue to rock our world. So the question, once again, is, are they going to rock it in a good way or a bad way? And we have a say in that. So here's an image of augmented reality where we see through the windshield, and maybe the car, the AI inside works with the information coming in to identify potential hazards. The car can drive itself. We could be working with the car in a hybrid fashion to control it. This information out there, that car, that little pothole, those people all have chips in them or embedded somewhere. And that's communicating to the blockchain on the internet, and then AI is making sense of it. And this is the kind of trifecta of disruptive technologies that we'll see completely changing almost every aspect of how we live. Nikola Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. I'm just going to kind of leave that there and simply say that people like Tesla really did help shape the world. And in his case, his work with electricity. And now we see Tesla, the energy company, shaking up the world. And it's no wonder people like Elon Musk are involved in blockchain. And it's no wonder that he highly values Nikola Tesla's work and looks up to him as a historical figure. So there's some connections for you there. Let's do it. Let's jump into a mini lesson. This is, if you're a crypto expert, you don't need this. If you're a crypto newbie, this is for you. And if you're someone like me who is pretty knowledgeable, this may add some additional dimensions to your knowledge base. So what is blockchain? Why should anyone care? And what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years? Those are some of the essential questions here. So a key idea here that you have to understand is decentralization. So blockchains, like you can see in this little image over to the side here, I think I can mark on this. This would represent a decentralized network with different nodes, these little yellow things. So everything, there might be some centralization in terms of a central node, but everything's decentralized. There's not a core. Whereas over here on this side, if I change it to yellow or green rather, this would be centralized, where maybe like the government or a bank is in the middle and all of us as users are connected to it. So we're all connected to the central hub. Whereas over here in the decentralized example, there isn't that central hub. And that's a key concept because almost everything that we know of is centralized. And there's usually a boss, a central figure. Not that that's always bad, but when it comes to the ways that blockchain is going to revolutionize finance and politics down the line, it's because it'll be very much a democracy in the true sense of the word. So if we look at it this way, everybody on the blockchain is part of the blockchain. They own it. They share the power. So it's truly democratized. So here are some additional images that can kind of show there's centralized, decentralized, and then you have distributed, which is like even more decentralized. And when you hear blockchain, you can also think of a synonym, which is a distributed ledger. So blockchain is really about distribution. So you can imagine if every one of these little individual nodes had a little bit of the information of the whole on it, then no one could come in and steal the whole thing. They could only maybe steal a part of it. And like a body, it's almost self-heals because every block in that blockchain has information that builds on the other one. So it's hard to go in there and hack it. So I understand the concept on that. It's a little hard to explain sometimes. That's why we're going to keep coming back to these concepts. We're going to keep having definitions. We're going to talk about different blockchains, different investment opportunities, and how some are more centralized than others, and so forth. So, but there's the key concepts for you. So, what is a blockchain and why should you care? Once again, a blockchain is simply a network of encrypted information that is really hard to hack, and it is decentralized. A new era is arising, which people, that's us, unless you're an oligarch, and people don't want or need a central authority telling us how to live. And we'll have more trust by voting on the blockchain with the help of AI to find the best solution to our challenges. That's the ideal story, at least. And then here's the British spelling of centralized and decentralized. So, what is blockchain and why should we care? Continued. Blockchain is going to help a lot of regular people get a much larger piece of the money pie. And it's also going to make it really, excuse my French, but harder for people to screw other people over. It's much harder to hide things. So if a blockchain is set up in a really effective way, it really creates more trust because it's based on distrust. In other words, we know that human nature is being distrustful. We want to make sure that, hey, did I get my product before I sent you the money? A blockchain makes that go way better. And that's one of the key cornerstones of blockchain is that it works well with human nature in a game theory model. So use cases, that means like, what does it actually do though, right? We've talked a little bit about that and AI and driving cars and how those things connect. When blockchains become more interoperable and when they're connected with the Internet of Things, all those sensors, AI and advanced algorithms, the world we know will change. So use cases there's so many of them. Decentralized finance, basically you're your own bank. You can lend peer-to-peer lending. So instead of borrowing money from a bank, someone could borrow money from somebody else with a better interest rate. So it's kind of like we don't need no stinking banks situation. Blockchain use cases continued. So unlimited dimensions of privacy on the internet for citizens. So let's say you are driving around your car that's connected to the internet. What information are you putting out there? What information can others see? For example, you might say, look, I want my car to communicate with other cars on the basic government required network, which is for safety reasons. So if my car is going too fast towards a cliff, then AI could kick in and save my life. But I don't want to communicate with McDonald's to let them know how close I am to their restaurant, because that's the kind of thing that we could see in terms of on the free market capital side of that, is that people are going to want your data. That's what's already happening with Web 2.0 and social media. And then fairer trade and business practices. Blockchain technology was created as a response to the trust crisis that swept the world in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. Bitcoin and other blockchain-based systems were presented as trustless, or a trustless alternative to existing financial institutions and even governments. So we're traumatized as people. We've seen so many rug pulls on a large scale financially. And so I'm definitely someone who wants to take matters into my own hand. And I think technology should be serving the interest of the people and the individual, and not just the powerful institutions and governments. And so this really is the overarching use case. Less deception from politicians and the powerful, as I mentioned earlier, for the people and by the people. There's that idea of AI controlled roadways, so much safer. There's a vision many have of roads without traffic, or virtually no traffic. Can blockchain create new problems? Excuse the typo there in the title. Yes, I'll blame the blockchain for that problem. Most of our current technology and infrastructure could be disrupted, and we don't know what that looks like. I, for one, as an American, I love my country. I'd like to see, all countries, including the U.S., thrive. I don't think that everything about government is bad. Someone needs to fix up the roads. Somebody needs to, make sure that no one's taking advantage and becoming a monopoly and so forth. But blockchain, what it promises to do eventually is to make government more effective, not necessarily get rid of it. But this massive disruption is scary. Even as someone who's I'm a bit of a Bitcoin maximalist, meaning I think that blockchain is going to be the future and that it's going to solve a lot of our problems. But I would be lying to you if I told you that I thought everything was going to go well with it. I think there's going to be some really big challenges. In fact, I can show you some challenges right now. Um, Highly centralized governments like China, they've basically banned cryptocurrencies. And remember, cryptocurrency, a definition of that is digital assets. So they banned it, but then they come out and say that I'm going to skip to another slide here. Of course, decentralization scares some people like China um, because digital currencies can make people's lives much more private and self-governed. But as you can see down here at the bottom of the screen, we have a little bit of an issue because China, for example, after banning cryptocurrency, created their own CBDC, or a central bank digital currency, the digital yuan, and that's going to become the digital currency of China. And the issue with that is that China can now track people even more so. So if you haven't heard about China's social score, basically every human there, every citizen has a score attached to them. Imagine going on Facebook and seeing a number next to your name. And if you do things the government doesn't like there, like speak out against the government or create art they don't like or whatever it might be, maybe you like too many posts from somebody that the government doesn't like, they can ruin your social score. And your social score is tied into everything, your dating apps, your financial life, your job. And so people get fired, people get divorced because the social score is manipulated. And so China has some pretty scary controls over people, and by using blockchain in an evil way, so to speak, then a country like that can have intense control and scrutiny over someone's life. So it's the exact opposite of what decentralization is trying to do. So that's another very key thing to understand about blockchain. What about the United States and other countries? What are the attitudes towards crypto? Well, that's what's happening right now, is that there's a lot of conflict, a lot of disagreement between people, the government, private sector, people in the government disagreeing with each other, people who've created blockchains disagreeing with each other. But the United States has got a pretty positive outlook on crypto. The United States is a little concerned about cryptocurrencies called stable coins, because a stable coin is tied to the value of the dollar. So, for example, you could make a bunch of money in Bitcoin and know that you figure that it's going to go down because Bitcoin and crypto right now is very volatile. It goes up fast, it goes down fast. So you could move profits over into a stable coin, wait for the market to crash, and then trade those stable coins or use those to just buy the dip, to buy Bitcoin at a cheaper price. And so the stable coins, basically, they could compete with the dollar. And so the United States is trying to figure out what is it going to do? Is it going to create a United States digital currency, the digital dollar? We all pretty much think that's going to come, but there's a lot of questions about that and how to best do regulation. So we can see Canada, Germany, Holland, Japan, Norway, Singapore, South Korea, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, crypto friendly, neutral countries there in the middle, and then very negative outlook on it: Russia, China, Algeria, Bolivia, and a few other countries. So it's still early. We're still going to see how that plays out. And then there's been a few countries, as you may have heard, that have adopted Bitcoin as their official currency at this point, including El Salvador is the biggest one. So is it all a little scary? I think it is. Is it exciting? Absolutely. And that's the fun part. So what is a good person like you going to do? You can ignore it. Option one. You can get scared and also be ignorant of it. I see a lot of people doing that one. Or three, get educated, get involved, and get a say in it, and maybe make some money. That's, I think, the no-brainer option, but that's me. So you've got to choose which pill you're going to take and find out how deep the rabbit hole goes. So if you made it this far in the video, congratulations. I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job at all because it's my first time, but at this point, it's time to take the red pill if you're going to go forward. And then down the rabbit hole. My crypto experience as an American citizen, I did invest in blockchain years ago, and I actually purchased Bitcoin at, I think, a 7-Eleven or a Circle K. It was on a little card. I wanted to buy something that was in Europe, and it was like you had to convert your money in some weird thing, or you could just buy Bitcoin and use Bitcoin. So I bought Bitcoin. I lost my passcode or whatever it was, forgot about it. I don't think it was worth a whole lot at the time. I could be very wrong though. I think it was back in 2014 or 15. So Bitcoin was a lot cheaper then than it is now. But I was interested in it. I saw that it was some kind of that had value in it because it was almost like it was an international digital currency. Well, it is. And so somewhere in my little pea-sized brain, I started thinking like, this is interesting. This could be the future. Have I made a lot of money in crypto? I have not. I have made some money. I've made some profits, but I reinvested it all. And right now the market is not in a good place. And guess what? I feel great about it. I'm not worried. The things I invested in, the crypto I invested in, has a really bright future. You never know what's going to happen. But I am like, if you're just jumping into the space now, you're jumping in at a great time because you can buy crypto cheap right now. So I'm a hodler, hold on for dear life, or hodl. So when the market's tanking, hodlers be like, we're just going to wait it out. So what's motivating me in the digital asset space? I think we've given kind of an overview of what blockchain is and how it may revolutionize our whole life. So what gets me excited? Well, I'm interested in, and it is the future. I think it's interesting the way it connects to art through non-fungible tokens or NFTs, the metaverse. I like to imagine that you're in graduate or you're in medical school and they have this digital, you put on your goggles or whatever, and you have this digital body, this virtual body, and they can, zoom inside of the body, look at the veins, and do all kinds of virtual reality work, all in the metaverse. Maybe you design, in fact, they've talked about like Ford or a car company could design its cars with a complete replica, a virtual replica, and then simulate that car operating. And then based on that digital version, they can make changes to the real version. So it's almost like everything in life, including ourselves and our bodies, may have a digital double that exists in the metaverse. That's interesting. That's weird. It's the future. Maybe it's going to be the end of humankind, of civilization. I don't know. I just know that sticking my head in the sand right now is probably not a good idea. I do want to be part of it. I'd like to realize some profits. And what am I going to do with those? Well, financial freedom is never a bad thing. Support my family and support and improve the lives of others. So I'm not trying to paint myself as some kind of crypto saint, but I just think that if you're going to go out there and get interested in it, look at the big picture, look how it could change our world. And it's okay to make money. But that money, then what are we going to do with that? I think to find real peace and happiness, we want to apply that to things in such a way that we can, sure, derive some pleasure, but at the same time, help those people in the world out who have a lot less than us. So what am I invested in? I'll come to that a little bit more, but here's a quick crash course on kind of the more practical side of crypto investing. So crypto is the common term, but digital assets is a more accurate term. So I think there's two big asset families in the digital asset class. And number one is Bitcoin. It's its own, it's the, 10,000 pound gorilla or whatever. I don't know how many pounds the gorilla is supposed to be, but Bitcoin is the gorilla in the room. It's the OG, it's the gold standard, it's a store of value. If you just wanted the simplest advice anyone could give, it is if you were going to buy something, getting Bitcoin is probably the best because now you've bought arguably the greatest digital asset that's ever been created. Some say that nothing will ever beat it. We don't know that for sure. It is volatile, but in my opinion, not financial advice, I think each Bitcoin will be worth more than $1 million sometime within the next 8 to 10 years. We don't know. Altcoins are anything that is not Bitcoin. The alternative to Bitcoin would be an altcoin. And they're every other cryptocurrency that's not Bitcoin. So remember, Bitcoin is a store of value like gold. Altcoins, there's a lot of different kinds of altcoins. About 90% of altcoins are not worth your time, in my opinion. And so when it comes to investments, I focus on layer one blockchains. So altcoins that are considered layer one blockchains. And that includes examples like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, Terra. So what the heck is a layer one altcoin? Well, before we get that far, you should decide like, hey, do I want to get into more of the Bitcoin, the For Sure, the OG, or altcoins? Bitcoin is it's a little less attractive to most beginning investors because it's so expensive. But remember, it's infinitely fractionalized. So even if you have $100 to put in right now and buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, it still, in my opinion, could be a good investment because eventually they say that Bitcoin will be broken down into much smaller increments called Satoshis. So $100 of Satoshis right now is going to be very valuable in the future. Someday in like 2030, can you believe I bought 100,000 Satoshis for whatever amount of dollars? Can you believe that? I think that's going to be in the future. This idea of due diligence, of course, is really looking for something that's clear and compelling source of value. Do these things actually, are they going to do anything in the long run? Hate to break it to you, but Dogecoin and those meme coins, they don't really have a compelling source of value, in my opinion, other than the value that people place on them, emotionally. Avoid flimsy theses, things you don't understand. And then where do you get this information? Well, the white paper is basically like the summary of what the project, what its purpose and what it's going to do. And then roadmaps. Good blockchains, good businesses have roadmaps about what they're going to do. As Lop says here, and he's no Lop, it's incredibly irresponsible to invest 100% of your money in one asset class, as this creates a single point of failure in your portfolio. This is financial advice, he says. As a public educator, most of my investments are tied up in my state investment, my state retirement. And, so a lot of that's all diversified automatically. So I don't invest a lot in addition to that. But I'm definitely not only invested in crypto. That's a small percentage of my overall wealth or money is invested in crypto. But I found that crypto is a great way to take what little money you can invest to get the most amount of money. There's never been an asset class in our lifetimes, in my lifetime, that's emerged that's been this potentially lucrative. So I do want to help you speed up your due diligence process. Bitcoin, I believe, an opinion here, not financial advice, is a pristine asset. That means that it's better than gold. It's better than pretty much anything else out there. Real estate is also amazing, of course. And I've made a lot more money myself in real estate than anything else. Not that we've made a lot of money, but nothing has come close to giving me and my family the kind of returns than just buying a house and waiting for the market to go up. But Bitcoin is a lot like real estate. It may go up and down, but it's always going up in the long run, from what I understand. And everyone should have some, period. Buying it every month on a schedule, it's also known as dollar cost averaging or DCAing, is something I have done and will continue to do. But my current strategy doesn't include buying a bunch of Bitcoin. And I'll talk about that more in a second here. Bitcoin, I believe, is a hedge against inflation. Inflation has really changed. So using the cup of coffee example, 1970, let's say 1980. I was born in 78. So 2 years old, when I was a kid, it was 45 cents. Now it's $1.59 or more. I'd say, shoot, someone's going to Starbucks, I guess they're paying like $3-4 or something. So the dollar's getting less valuable, and that's scary because if you're on a fixed income or you don't make a lot of money, your dollar has to go a long ways, especially these days. So why am I not buying Bitcoin right now? I don't have a lot of money to invest. That's why I'm not buying a lot of Bitcoin. My partner, my wife, Sarah, is supportive, but she's definitely not a Bitcoin maximalist. So she supports it and she definitely has worked to understand it, but I'm the one that wants to grab the wheel. And so I'm trying to be as conservative as possible. For me, it's like this. Every time I go out to spend money, it's like, man, I could be buying crypto because I feel like a lot of these assets that I'm interested in are going to 5x, 10x, who knows, over time. And so it's almost like a sure thing, at least from my point of view. But I'm not a trader. I'm an investor. I'm not trying to make quick money day to day, even month to month. I would consider being a swing trader when I see one asset going up a lot, and then I take my money out, and then that one hope, at that point maybe starts to dip down, but I buy something else that's already low, and then that one goes up higher. So there is some trading that I do try to do, but more than anything, I'm a hodler. I'm holding on for dear life to that Ethereum or Bitcoin and some other assets. And in 10 years, it's like the little kid sitting there with the marshmallow on the table. Hey, we're going to leave the room. Don't eat it. But if you cannot eat the marshmallow, when we come back, we'll give you a whole bag of marshmallows. I feel like that's us right now. It's so tempting to sell this, or maybe it's gone down. I'm going to just get out of crypto. It's scary. No, stay in, hodl, and see what happens. So I'm a minnow investor, little teeny minnow. And I see that investing in altcoins is going to see a much faster gains. And then I'll probably take most of what I make in the altcoins and buy Bitcoin because it is the pristine asset class. So once again, Bitcoin is like digital gold. Buy it, save it, store it, use it if you need cash. Layer one blockchains are different than Bitcoin. A layer one blockchain like Ethereum, you can create a business on it. You can create apps or dApps, digital apps, smart contracts, and other features that allow developers to build businesses. So whether it's selling NFTs, doing decentralized finance, peer-to-peer lending, in other words, those layer one blockchains have grown the most in value than anything else. They've destroyed Bitcoin in terms of how quickly they've gained value. So let's look at some examples. So if we look here, we see that Ethereum is the number two largest by market cap cryptocurrency out there, meaning if you look at all the crypto and how much it's worth, the majority of the wealth is in Bitcoin, followed then by Ethereum, Tether, which is one of those stable coins I mentioned earlier, always worth $1. Then there's the Binance Smart Chain coin, the USDC, which is the other big stable coin, and then Cardano only cost $1.13 per coin versus Ethereum's $2,508, at least when I took the screenshot. And so this little white and yellow line down here, you can see Ethereum's value and what happened. It went parabolic here in the last year. In fact, ARK Invest, Kathy Wood, she runs the ARK Invest group. And they're saying that Bitcoin, and these aren't people just making up numbers, they're looking at massive amounts of data and quantitative analysis. And they're saying $1.36 million is going to be the value of each single Bitcoin. And when everyone these days, that's hyperbole, excuse me, a lot of people have been saying, oh, well, how's your crypto going now? Or I heard Bitcoin went down. Yeah, it did. And guess who's buying the dip? Guess who's buying it at a discount? All the whales, the big money. They're coming in and they're buying tons of Bitcoin because they know that this is at a discount right now. They also looked at Ethereum, and for transparency purposes, and I'll share this in detail later. I own Ethereum as the largest investment in crypto, and they're saying that it's going to be each coin will be worth about $175,000. And I bought in somewhere in the 2000s. $2,500. So I'm not even in a profit margin right now on my Ethereum, and I'm not worried about it because if it's true that they're going to be worth $175,000, then just with the couple Ethereum that I have, then shoot, that would be a nice chunk of change as part of a retirement or even an early retirement exit strategy plan. So Solana is another top 10 layer one altcoin. It is a layer one blockchain, and its value in 2021 increased by about 12,000%. So I bought it what I thought was a great price, and I had made, when the value shot up, it was great, and I didn't sell it because I am hodling that one. And we dropped back down now to about $100, but it started the year off like at $8 a coin or something like that. So had you bought $5,000 worth, you would have had significant amount of money in 1 year. And a lot of people did make a lot of money in Solana in this last year. So here's a possible approach to altcoin investing. And this is similar to what I have going on. It's not financial advice. It's just an example. It's not my portfolio ratio, but it is similar to mine. I do own Ethereum and Solana, as I've mentioned. So 50% Ethereum, 40% Solana, or one of the other top 10 layer one competitors that compete with Ethereum. And then 10% can be the fun stuff where maybe something's going to 1,000x, meaning it's going to go up by, a lot. And that can be kind of fun. And I am planning on jumping into some of those projects this year, especially some of the metaverse coins, just because there's a chance to make a lot of money jumping in early to these businesses. So here was came out on January 4th. So just this month, despite a record-breaking 2021, Solana is just getting started. Also, Avalanche and Terra, which has the Luna coin. These are both big layer one solutions, blockchains, and there's looks like there's a lot of value, a lot of um, what we would consider long-term use case for these particular blockchains. So these are things to look at, things I'd recommend you reading about. Um, and so I want to just remind you that, we're here. I'm here because I'm a lifelong learner. I'm excited about change. We've got to embrace change. And if you're coming back to this in the future, I hope that you'll find value as we zoom in and look at some specific cryptocurrencies. And we continue talking about how these connect to the bigger picture. And so upcoming class sessions will be getting started, crypto investing basics, if you just want to kind of some step-by-step stuff. Altcoin overview for beginners, looking more at these altcoins we talked about briefly today. And I'm going to talk about why I think everyone should have a few of the top 10 altcoins in their portfolio and why that's the case. I want to zoom in a little bit more on the metaverse and talk about that and look at some of the projects that are happening already out there in that. And then finally, thanks for watching. You're at a bomb, and I'm hoping this content is dynamite. And I know I'm cheesy, and I know this was far from the coolest YouTube video you've ever seen, but I hope that you at least smiled or learned something new. And I'll see you at the next class session. Thanks, crypto class.